What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with RK Outpost, and today I'm coming to you with another book review in my incredibly random series of book reviews that I do. Now, the last one I did was for Halloween, and that was I covered Dark Troopers for Halloween because I thought, or Death Troopers for Halloween, because that is the epitome of what I think a Star Wars Halloween book is, that and Red Harvest. So I decided to do that one. I thought that was fun. This time I went back and I started reading from the Darth Bane Trilogy, which I had already done a review on, which if you haven't caught my first review for Darth Bane Path to Destruction, I'll link it right there. You can click on this thing. It is right there. Boom. But this time I went ahead and read the middle part of this trilogy, which is Darth Bane Rule of Two. Now, a very interesting thing about this book is that it wasn't planned as effectively as a lot of other expanded universe books were. So when Darth Bane Path to Destruction came out from Drew Karpyshyn, it was a huge success, something that was maybe a little unexpected. And so Lucasfilm, came to them and said, hey, came to Drew Karpyshyn and was like, hey, can you write another one like real fast? And he's like, well, I guess. How fast? They're like real fast. So it turns out that they had about 5 months for him to come up with a story, for him to write it, for them to edit it, produce it, all that stuff, which is a crazy short amount of time, especially when you look at someone like George R. R. Martin. When you compare it to things like that, 5 months, this isn't the same kind of work as a Game of Thrones or, as a Song of Ice and Fire novel, but still, 5 years or 5 months. But with that being said, I do think that it's probably the weakest of the trilogy. But let's get into it. Let's get into exactly how it goes. And if you haven't listened to these book reviews before, it's not so much like standard book reviews. I just talk about the book. And so going forward, spoiler warning. There you go. Now, when we last left off in Path to Destruction, it starts up right away. Darth Bane has effectively destroyed the entire Sith Order. Lord Khan and his Brotherhood of Darkness. He has tricked them into performing a process called the Thought Bomb. It destroyed all the Sith and Jedi within range. And as far as the Jedi are concerned, all the Sith are gone from the galaxy. Now, Bane had just met a young girl, probably about 10 years old, who is named Zana. She had been training to become a Jedi during this war on Ruusan. But Bane found that she could easily tap into the dark side, and had a sense that this girl was going to one day surpass him. So he took her on and had just met her, basically. He's trying to teach her how to channel her dark side energy and things like that. Channel her hate, channel her anger. She can already kind of effectively use the Force, so that's an advantage. And he wants to check out the Thought Bomb to make sure it worked. And he goes there. It turns out that Zana's cousin is also there, Daravit, who somehow survived the Thought Bomb because he just wasn't strong enough in the Force. And they meet there. She, instead of allowing Bane to kill him, because he probably would have, she attacks him, destroys his hand, cuts off his hand, but attacks him in a way that leaves him incapacitated, but hopefully Bane won't kill him, and Bane spares him. They go away. Darth Bane has uncovered a secret to a holocron. And this holocron is on a world that you're familiar with, if you're familiar with Knights of the Old Republic lore. And that's Onderon, but more specifically Onderon's moon, Duxon. So he wants to test his new apprentice, but he also wants time to go look at this holocron. So he goes to Duxon and says, hey, meet me on Onderon this time. And she's like, how? I'm freaking like 10 years old. And he's like, Sith figured out, so figure it out. In the meantime, Johan, who Lord Hoth, we talked about Lord Hoth the book before. He was Lord Hoth's apprentice. He feels a lot of anger over what happened. He doesn't believe that the Sith are gone. He's heard a rumor that a Sith survived. He wants to go figure it out. But Master Farfalla kind of shuts him down, says, hey, listen, the Sith are gone. Like, we need to deal with it. We need to move forward. He takes him as his apprentice, and Johan is kind of working to try to accept that. Bane makes it to Duxton, passes some trials, finds Darth Anudu's, Freedon Nad's holocron. But when he does this, he gets attacked by something called an Orbalisk. Now, Orbalisks, I talked about this in my Darth Bane lore video. Orbalisks are these like beetle-like creatures that attach themselves to you. Now, they do have some advantages, and Bane throughout the next part of his life, uses these to his advantage. So they do feed on the dark side, but it's kind of a reciprocating cycle. They feed it back to you as well. They also increase your strength. They increase your force power. They increase your regenerative properties, so they heal you. And they're also nearly impervious to everything, including a lightsaber blade. However, they do make it so you're in pain all of the time, an intense amount of pain. And they multiply and spread out across your body. So if you don't prevent them from spreading, they will literally cover up your face, they'll cover up your hands, everything. So it's definitely some pluses and minuses. But those attach him to him. He needs to learn more about those. He meets Zana. Zana makes her way all the way there. She actually kills a family kind of in cold blood to make it there, kind of passing one of these trials herself, and they meet up. Now we fast forward 10 years later. 10 years later, Zana's 20 years old. She is now a fully fledged, apprentice, but basically a lord herself. She's very powerful in the dark side. They establish that she has gone a little different route than Darth Bane. She's taken this path of Sith sorcery. And the way that they do this, throughout the rest of the book, they do flashbacks to her training with Bane as opposed to doing it chronologically. So you kind of get to fill in the gaps in that 10 year later, which I like. I really like how they do that. And it explains how, Bane thinks that she'd be powerful in Sith sorcery, something that he doesn't know a lot about. So she kind of has to train herself in a lot of ways, which is cool. And then you find out that she uses a double-bladed lightsaber, but she is very small. She's very diminutive. She doesn't have a lot of power. So they give her this like smaller bladed lightsaber that's extremely quick, and she can essentially twirl this almost impenetrable defense and kind of wear her opponents out, and is able to channel her sorcery. That's kind of her fighting style. It's a very unique fighting style. So I like how they explain that. But they are now doing the first steps in what the Sith need to do to take over the galaxy a millennia later, with Darth Sidious. They are planting seeds. He's getting intelligence contacts. He's working with these separatist organizations to kind of sabotage them when need be, so that they don't, they don't get too big for the Republic to actually worry about. Sorry, but so that's what they're doing, and she convinces, Zana infiltrates and convinces the separatist organization to attack a former chancellor who happens to be under protection of Johan at the time. So neat little crossover. And they don't succeed. Johan saves the chancellor. Everything's good. And this separatist movement is crushed. And that's kind of what Bane wanted. Bane, meanwhile, is trying to build a holocron of his own. He's always been obsessed with knowledge, but he can't figure out. He keeps failing over and over and over again. His hands keep trembling. He can't focus right. And he thinks it's because of these Orbalisks that are now just taking him over. And he starts to have it in his mind that these Orbalisks are the thing that are preventing him from making this holocron. And he's thinking, maybe I need to get him off. Zana, at the same time, she realizes there's this little side thing where someone else tries to get under Zana's influence, basically in a weird way. Even though they're older, they want to be taught by her. She uses him. She tests Bane out. Bane destroys him and almost kills her because he's so mad. But this dude did have a location of another holocron that could possibly help Bane build his holocron. It's on Tython, the old Jedi world of Tython. But she also wants to get rid of Bane's Orbalisk because she knows that the great underlying thing that Karpyshyn does through this entire book series is really get to the heart of Sith mentality. And they both know that Zana is going to kill Bane. Bane wants that. Bane wants Zana to overtake him someday. He wants to further the goal of the Sith. So it's a very strange relationship, something that we didn't explore too much in the expanded universe or in Star Wars at all, really, from this point of view. And that's why I love Karpyshyn's novels. So Bane, in the meanwhile, sends Zana to this undercover infiltration of the Jedi Order to try to look at the temple archives. Because if it doesn't exist in the archives, it doesn't exist. Right? We've heard that before. So she uses her Sith sorcerer to cast a spell to make her appear as though she's given off a light side aura. And it's very difficult to master, but she is able to do it. Now, Johan, in the meanwhile, has been on Ruusan overseeing the construction of a monument to all the Jedi that died there. He runs into Daravid, who's still there, who tells him that there's still a Sith out there. And he had given it up, but now he's right back into it. He's like, oh, I knew that there was a Sith. I knew it. Come back to the Jedi Temple with me. Tell the Masters. And Daravid's like, oh, whatever. Oh, okay, I guess I will. So back at the Jedi Temple, Daravid runs into Zana as Johan's trying to convince him to get an audience with the Masters. And he's warning the Masters that the Sith still exist in the galaxy. Daravid and Zana meet each other. They're like, oh, crap, what are you doing here? And Zana has found what she needs to with the Orbalisk. She takes him away. He's like, let's get out of here. And they leave. So they go and they run to Tython to tell Bane, to warn Bane that the Jedi know that the Sith are back. And the Jedi, in a mistake by Master Farfalla, who doesn't think the Council will listen to them and think they need to take care of this immediately because they don't have their witness anymore, takes Johan and 3 other Jedi with them to go attack the Sith. And they have an awesome battle. They have an absolutely awesome battle. The first real one you see, Darth Bane versus Jedi like this. Because they're hidden, right? They're not in the open. They are hidden. That is what they're doing. They are the rule of 2 Sith. They're staying in the shadows, building power until the time is right to launch a strike. So they have a great battle. Johan is actually a hindrance. It's interesting. He's a semi-protagonist in this story, but he is a hindrance in the battle because he's not as well versed in tactics and in battling as the other Jedi. And he ends up getting some of his fellow Jedi killed because of his ineptitude. And the Sith dominate. Bane and Zana dominate. And Bane, as he's about to unleash this Force Storm, he unleashes this Force Storm, but right before it, a dying Jedi grabs him and puts a force field around him. Normally used to keep things off of them. This maintains it in. So he uses this Force Storm and electrocutes the crap out of himself, killing the Orbalisks. Now, if Orbalisks are killed, they immediately, it's this reciprocating relationship. If an Orbalisk is killed, they immediately start pumping out this toxic poison to kill you. And Bane immediately is like almost dying. So Zana takes him back to a place we went in this first book, and that's Ambria with Caleb the healer, who Bane threatened to kill his daughter the last time so he could save his life. Well, he's still alive, but this time he sent his daughter away. So there's nothing they have over his head. There's nothing they have that can do that. However, Zana convinces him and says, listen, if you heal my master, because, right, she doesn't know everything and Bane knows it. She's not ready to take on this role of master of the Sith, Lord of the Sith. So she needs to know what Bane, she can't let him die. It's a very strange thing, the Sith relationship, like I was talking about. So that's exactly what she does. She begs for his life. She says, I will call the Jedi and let them know this is where the Sith are and they can end the threat. But you, just please save his life. Caleb agrees. She calls And Bane is pissed. He's like, you can't. If I die, you're still alive. Even if I die, you're still alive. You can still continue the Sith. Don't do this. Do not let the Jedi come here and arrest me. Kill me. And then kill these people and leave. And Zana says, no, Master, I need you alive. And he's like ashamed, thinking that she's incredibly weak in what she's doing. But she has a plan. And when the Jedi, and her cousin is still there with her. It's this weird thing, you know, trying to slowly pull her back to the light, even though she has no interest. But she hasn't killed him yet, right? He's still hanging around, Daravit. But the Jedi get warned. They come there, and she and Bane are hiding under the base or under the floor of Caleb's little hut. And what she has done is pretty crazy. She actually she murders Caleb after he's healed Bane. After he's healed Bane, healed from the Orbalist, but he's still recovering. He's like incapacitated. She kills him, chops him up to 1,000,000 pieces, so he's unidentifiable. And then she casts a Sith sorcery spell on Daravit to make him crazy, to make it seem like he is the mad Sith that people were talking about, gives him a lightsaber, and he runs out there and immediately gets killed by all the Jedi. So the Jedi link him back because he had a lightsaber that the Jedi had on Tython. They link him to the disappearance of the other Jedi, and they think that this was the rogue Sith that everyone thought. And they think, again, that the Sith threat is extinguished from the galaxy. All the while, Zana and Bane are safe. And she has this great quote. I wrote it down. And Bane admits, like, I was wrong by you. I underestimated you. And what she says is, one day I will surpass you. And on that day, I will kill you, Lord Bane. But that day is not today. And that's kind of how the book ends, leading off right there. So, overall, I know this has been long. If you're still watching, you're awesome. But, you know, I do like I like Karpyshyn. I like the Darth Bane trilogy. I do think this is maybe the weakest one. And I think it's because it was rushed so much. But overall, it is good. It introduces us to Zana, who is a really cool character, a great, strong female character. Take note, Disney. It existed before you were there. And I don't know if it exists now while you with your canon. But Zana is great. Bane, it is great. He still has that thirst for knowledge, that interesting perspective, not the typical Sith just being evil to be evil. And you get a great perspective on how the Sith operate. You get more explanation about lightsaber training and things like that, which is cool too. But highly recommend this trilogy overall. Obviously, I wouldn't just say read this book. I would say read Path of Destruction, then this book, and then Dynasty of Evil, which is going to be the next one that I read. But it's a great reread for me. Always reminded of what a great author Drew Karpyshyn is, a guy who is very willing to write more expanded universe stories if given the opportunity. So important to keep in mind when we have that billboard project going up for the potential for the expanded universe to be continued. Karpyshyn is all on board with that, and he's a great writer, so I'm really looking forward to that. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I know this is really long. If you watch this whole video, props to you. You're incredible, and thank you very much. Hope you're liking more expanded universe content. I like to get it out there as much as I can, even though there is some breaking news topics that kind of have to be covered when we're talking about Star Wars. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have you read this book before? Did you enjoy it? What were your thoughts as far as how it relates to the whole trilogy? Make sure to let me know. Make sure to smash the like button, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there. Make sure to tag it Expanded Universe or EU Awareness or Legends or something like that. But please share this video and get it out there, and I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.